tourist once climbed a long and difficult trail to visit a beautiful monastery high in the mountains. The journey was exhausting: uneven paths, rocky terrain, and steep climbs. But people from all over the world made the trip because they heard that inside the monastery there was a deep and lasting peace. After several hours, the traveler finally reached the entrance, but instead of a large gate he expected, he found a very narrow stone doorway, just wide enough for a single person. And above the entrance of the doorway were carved the words, "To enter, lay down what you carry." Soon other visitors arrived. Many of them had large backpacks. They had brought along all the things that they thought they might need: extra food, camping chairs, tools, clothing, and so on. They tried to push through the doorway, twisting and bending and squeezing, but nothing worked. The doorway was simply too narrow. Some people gave up and stayed outside. They told themselves, "Well, at least I made it this far. This is close enough." But a few stopped, read the words again, "To enter, lay down what you carry." And slowly they began to remove their packs. It wasn't easy. They resisted at first, but once they set their bags aside and approached the doorway empty-handed, they slipped through easily and discovered the peace that they had journeyed so long to find. My friends, that story is a perfect image of what Jesus teaches us today in the gospel. Someone asks him, "Lord, will only a few people be saved?" Now, notice what Jesus does not do. He does not give numbers or statistics. He does not say, "Don't worry, everybody gets in." And he does not say, "Only a tiny group will make it." Instead, he says something more personal. He says, "Strive to enter through the narrow gate." In other words, don't spend your time wondering about how many. Spend your time making sure you are truly preparing your own heart. The narrow gate is the gate of the true discipleship. It is not narrow because God is harsh or restrictive. It is narrow because love is demanding. It's narrow because truth requires integrity. And it's narrow because things like pride, resentment, selfishness, and attachment to sin simply cannot squeeze through. Our first reading from Isaiah gives us this breathtaking vision. God says, "I come to gather nations of every language. They shall come and see my glory." People from Tarshish and Put and Lud, places far outside of Israel, are not only invited, they are made priests and Levites in the house of the Lord. And this tells us something powerful. God's love is welcoming to all. His mission is not limited by national, cultural, or ethnic boundaries. No, God desires that every person, no matter where they came from, be brought into the joy of his kingdom. And then we reach the gospel. And Jesus gives us a critical warning. Many will attempt to enter, but will not be strong enough. Why? Because some will try to carry too much with them. They want the kingdom, but they also want to keep their grudges, their comfortable sins, or their self-reliance. And like the travelers with the heavy backpacks, they end up stuck at the entrance. My friends, it is possible to be near Jesus, to listen to his words, even to sit in his company, yet never actually pass through the gate of conversion. That is exactly why we hear in the letter to the Hebrews that God disciplines those that he loves. Discipline is not punishment. It is training. God uses trials and difficulties to strip away the things that weigh us down: our pride, our complacency, our self-centeredness, so that our hearts become free to enter through the narrow gate. Think of a sculptor chiseling away the excess stone to reveal the beauty hidden within. The stone may feel the blow of the chisel, but without it, the sculpture will never appear. A parishioner once said that the most life-changing moment of her faith journey didn't happen high on a mountain or at a retreat. It happened during the time of illness. She said, "For the first time, I had no control. All the things that I depended on, work, health, comfort, were stripped away. And in that empty space, I finally let God in." That is the narrow gate, a moment when we learn to let go and walk forward empty-handed, trusting that Christ alone is enough. So what does this mean for all of us? The readings today invite each of us to ask three very honest questions. 1, what backpacks am I carrying? Is it a grudge, a secret sin, a desire for control? Am I trying to squeeze into the kingdom while still holding on to pride or bitterness? 2, how do I react to God's discipline? When challenges or hardships come, do I complain and resist? Or do I ask, Lord, what are you trying to teach me through this? And 3, am I satisfied with merely being near Jesus, hearing his words, speaking his name, or am I willing to be transformed by him? Brothers and sisters, our Lord says that the gate is narrow, but it is open. God is more than ready to receive us, but we must let go. We must lay down our burdens so that we can finally enter into the peace he has prepared for us. And here is the beautiful part. The Eucharist we celebrate today is not only our destination, but also the strength we need for the journey. Christ himself in his body and blood gives us the grace to let go of our baggage and walk in freedom. As we continue with this Holy Mass, I invite each of us to ask the Lord quietly in our hearts, Lord, what do you want me to lay down today? What is the backpack that keeps me from entering fully into your kingdom? Give me the trust and humility to leave it behind, so that I may walk through the narrow gate and enter into your peace. May the Lord, who gathers people from every land and language, guide us safely through that gate and lead us into the joy that has no end.